like an intermediate player, like when I first looked at playing, I try and think like what message is then my opponent trying to give off. You know, for example, if I'm sitting against him and I'm on the river and I've got a decision, you know, and you know, I look at my opponent and I try and think what message he's trying to give off to me. You know, and for example, if he's trying to look weak, you know, I'm probably more inclined to think he's probably strong. You know, because it's hard for someone to have the confidence to look weak when they are weak. You know, to double bluff, it's more common that people try and, you know, do the opposite to how they actually are. So, like, I just try and look at my opponent and, you know, whatever he's doing, the way he's moving, the way he's talking, the way his eyes are looking, and try and get into his mind and see what message he's trying to give off to me. And like, there's all sorts of little things, you know. A lot of the time, when they give speech play or some sort of movement or they're fidgeting around too much, it's like they're more likely to go hand because, you know, when they're bluffing, they probably don't want to give too much away, and if they're moving and fidgeting, it's like they're probably more likely to just sit still if they are bluffing.
I think it's mostly just the general feeling for how confident people are. That's mainly what I rely to, is like, what's my intuition about that person? Is he more comfortable or not? I think this is like a general thing, and then you over time, like, you get more information about specific people. You create certain, like, it's actually like certain buckets, like this is how this behavior looks like, and then what I take from it, and then depending on more information I become more and more certain and apply like my strategy regarding how certain I am.
For people that are like shaky, it can be tough. Some people always are shaky because they're just playing high stakes and they're playing over their head and they're just always nervous. Some people are nervous and shaky when they have a big hand. Some people are nervous and shaky when they have only a bluff, like, and they're super calm if they have a good hand. So you just have to watch people closely and over, you know, many hours kind of see, like, all right, is this guy the type that gets nervous when he's got a good hand, or does he get nervous when he has a bad hand? Because usually it's one or the other.
The ones that you can explain easily will come from amateur players. So the tells that like experienced player will do, they sometimes come from like being careless a little bit. Just like they don't care too much, they're not focused enough, and they give up something. This happens, but usually they don't like give up any big tells.
It's hard to describe because normally I think it's a combination of someone's behavior throughout the hand, and it's more about noticing inconsistencies from pre-flop to flop turn or river. And if someone, for example, is trying to like represent a really big hand pre-flop, and then the board comes out with a bunch of hands or a bunch of cards where like aces suddenly isn't even a very good hand and they're still like going crazy at it, it's more likely that they're bluffing because it doesn't really add up.
It's not just about tells, whether you tell whether they're bluffing or not, but it can be a few things. It can be how they bet, it can be like how they move, if they don't move. More of like what they do when they aren't bluffing actually is more important. I think you need to pay attention to both to really tell whether someone's bluffing or not, because if someone's like moving freely when they're not bluffing, and then they're like totally still maybe when they're bluffing, then I mean, that would be how you might know.